Good morning, and welcome to this month's SonoSim hosted webinar. I'm Heidi Winkowski, Vice President of Member Engagement and your moderator for today. Today we'll be reviewing our recommended strategies for leveraging SonoSim Performance Tracker for ultrasound curriculum integration. All attendees will be in listen-only mode and may ask our panelists questions during and after the session in real time through the chat. A recorded version of this webinar will be available after our session. If you're just joining us, welcome. At this point, I'll introduce SonoSim's Member Success Manager, Courtney Reising, who will be discussing our curriculum integration tools and some real-life examples of how our members have integrated SonoSim. Afterwards, our product manager, Jessica Dickely, will walk through our new reporting and image feedback features, pointing out the most useful features to track your learners' progress. Welcome, Courtney.
Hi, everyone. My name is Courtney Reising, and I'm the Member Success Manager here at SonoSim. The Member Success team works closely with our current customers to ensure they are both aware of and know how to use all the resources we have available to help maximize SonoSim to its fullest potential. A large part of the time we spend with our members is focused on all of the wonderful tools that can be found within SonoSim Performance Tracker. It serves as our main performance tracking platform for admins, but it also contains other extremely helpful resources. As an instructor, it's important to know how to access all of these tools, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm here on sonosim.com, and I'm going to go ahead and log in here in the top right-hand corner. This will take me to the main dashboard, where I can then select SonoSim Performance Tracker. You can see it's broken up into three key components. In a few minutes, my colleague Jessica Dickely is going to talk through student performance tracking with you. I'm going to go over our curriculum integration tools. And keep in mind, this is also where you will manage your learners. For the purposes of today, let's jump right into the first tool, Curriculum Mapper. This was really built based directly off of member feedback. Instructors were really looking for a way to visualize the pathway that students could take in terms of incorporating SonoSim into the work they were already doing within a program. So we built this mapper. You can see you can pick your program. For today, we'll pick a GME program. We'll say it's 3 years long, and we're cardiology specialty. So you can see the mapper is sort of pre-populating the available modules that we think would be helpful for residents in a cardiology program. So if we go ahead and drag and drop, we can really start to see the pathway that is laid out for us. We've got basic heart. I also recommend pulling in fundamentals of ultrasound in year 1. And then as we go into year 2, if you want to start to include pathology in the modules, you would go ahead and select these here. And then year 3, we could probably pull in some of our advanced focus content and our new LVAD module. Now this is just an example, but you can really start to see how the modules will work with the curriculum already in place. So this is something that could be downloaded as a PDF and shared with colleagues, printed, or perhaps downloaded and posted to a learning management system. It's really for instructors to visualize how things will go, right? So if we go back to Performance Tracker and think about our industry recommendations, you can see here that we have many options available. And essentially what our team has done is build a very clear path based on the type of program that you're looking to supplement. So for example, if we go into our DMS general track industry recommendations, you can see our team has closely mapped the SonoSim courses and the SonoSimulator cases based off of KHEP recommendations. So as an admin, you would be able to go in, have access to this document, and have a really granular look at how we think SonoSim aligns with those particular curriculum requirements. And if you're thinking about matching those objectives, this is a great way to really be able to see that pretty clearly. So again, a great tool that our team has put together, and we have them for many different segments here: medical schools, PA programs, family medicine, anything you might need. So want to be sure that you know those are there, and we also have them available for download and printing, same as the curriculum mapper and same with some of the other tools that we're going to go over. So if we go back to our main menu, you can see the next one here is module assignments. So these are really important and really incredibly valuable, actually, because essentially we think of the module assignments as time savers for the instructors. Okay, so if we go into our Aorta IVC core clinical module, you'll be able to see what I mean by module assignment. So essentially what it is it's pre-designed and it's made to be able to, download, post to Canvas, post to Blackboard, email directly to the students, so they can self-guide themselves through the learning. So you can see it'll say, review the entire course, go through every slide, complete the mastery test, passing is 75% or higher, and then it will actually guide them through scanning cases so they can go in and save images. So you can see very specific, case 1, point A, go in, grab the long axis image of the IVC, click freeze, annotate it with IVC and click save. And then you as an instructor will actually be able to go in and evaluate those images and grade them and leave feedback, which my colleague is going to talk about shortly. So we have these available for all of our modules. And here at the end, it will let the students know you should have saved 11 images. So really keeping them on track and empowering them to go through the journey kind of on their own. And then we leave them with some clinical pearls of wisdom, if you will. Okay. All right, now if we go, highly recommend using those module assignments. So not to be outdone, we have our DMS protocol assignments, which are a little bit similar to the module assignments in that they are pre-designed for DMS learners. So if we think about the things, the skills that sonography students need to be able to, be successful upon graduation, we put those into protocols of sorts. So you can see they look a little bit similar to the module assignments, but really focused on, capturing the image well, measurements, kind of some of the tactical things that sonography students might need. And to be honest with you, there's not one DMS program that I work with that doesn't use these protocols in some way, shape, or form. And we've received just so much feedback on these, positive feedback our team has, that we continue to put these out. And anytime we release a new protocol, our clients get those the day it goes out. So really something to be utilized to enhance the skills of sonographers and think of them as folks we really want to support as well. All right, so back into Performance Tracker here. You can see we also have our course outlines. So this is really for instructors to kind of think about cross-referencing, if you will, the objectives of the institution, the things that you all are required to cover in order to prep your learners. So if we again just stick with our Aorta IVC core clinical, this would be a little bit of an overview of what the students will see when they're going through that online course. So you'll be able to see, okay, I know they're going to get everything they need pertaining to aortic anatomy, imaging technique, pathologic conditions. You can see the case studies there, AAA and everything that comes along with those case studies, and really just make sure that they're getting everything they need, that the online course meets the needs that you have as an instructor. So these are available for you. Once again, able to download those and take them as you need. All right. Now our answer keys, very straightforward. Those are just there. Those are the mastery test questions and answers. So you are able to see as an instructor those from your side. Of course, those are not available on the learner side. So just keep in mind those are there for you should you need to double check anything. And the last kind of component I want to show you is our case features component. So this is a really good addition to Performance Tracker and really something I want to highlight because maybe as an instructor, you're looking for something very specific that you would like your learners to see when they're scanning. So you can actually go in and say, hey, I'm looking for color flow Doppler. Which cases have that? So I can point my students in the right direction, make sure they at least see what that looks like. And these would be all of the cases within the Sonos simulator that they would be able to go into and scan and turn on that color flow Doppler and have that exposure. So lots of great tools that you could look for here. I like to show the pediatric patients. So these are the cases that have peds patients. So whatever you might be looking for, the case features tab should be able to help point you in the right direction, and you can therefore let your students know. So before we conclude the tour of the curriculum integration tools, I do want to leave you with just a few best practices that we've learned can really help programs be successful. Number one is incentivize your learners. I think the most successful programs really require students to complete the online courses, pass the mastery tests, and complete the scanning assignments as part of their regular coursework. It really helps reinforce the need for ultrasound education and training, and really puts people on a great path to successfully implementing SonoSim. And we also have institutions that do it a little bit differently. They'll incentivize their learners to complete the relevant modules and the scanning cases and everything. And then those who do very well or maybe complete the most are eligible for teaching assistant positions, or perhaps some sort of peer-to-peer leader position, and that works out really well too. I will say also successful programs are very strategic in how they capitalize on blended learning. So incorporating that, having the students complete the courses on their own time, maybe scan in the Sonos simulator individually or even in small groups, and then take the class time and the lab time with the instructor to really reinforce that asynchronous learning. That tends to work out really well. And the last component is just to remember that SonoSim is a great supplement, for institutions who are incorporating ultrasound education into their curriculums. It's not meant to replace anything. It's really meant to complement, and that's something that we're very proud of. So with that said, I will now pass it to my colleague, Jessica Dickely, and she is going to go over how to most effectively track and manage your students. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Jessica and I'm a product manager here at SonoSim. And today I'm going to be showing you some of the learner performance tracking features within Performance Tracker. We're going to be really focusing on two main features, the run reports feature and the image feedback feature. So let's dive in. We're going to start with the reporting feature. To get there, this is the Performance Tracker homepage, and you can click this run reports icon here. And that will take you to the report landing page. So as you can see, we have three different kinds of reports. Our first report is the class summary report, and this report gives you kind of a high-level overview of your entire class and where they're at with SonoSim modules. This detailed status report gets a little bit more detailed. It gives you granular insights into one module and all your learners, or conversely, one learner and all of their modules. And then lastly, we have this image portfolio report. And in the image portfolio report, you can pick one learner and one module, and all of their images will show up. So we're going to start here with the class summary report. And to really show you these reports, I'm going to give you the example of, let's pretend I'm an instructor and I have assigned the Aorta IVC core clinical module to my second year students. So I'm going to show you how to utilize all three of those reports to pull out insights about that assignment. So let's start with the class summary report. So first, this is the class summary report. And as you can see, it's arranged. All of the SonoSim modules are shown here below, and your learners are encompassed in the table. So for example, with this adrenal glands module, I can see one learner hasn't started, 4 are in progress, and 7 have completed. So yeah, all your SonoSim modules, your learners are in the table. Conversely, so this is called module view. But conversely, we also have a learner view. Let's turn that on real quick, where you can see all of your learners here and where they are at with SonoSim modules. This is particularly helpful if, let's say, you've assigned 10 modules to your students. You can use the filters over here to filter down to just those 10 modules, so where you can see where each of your students are with those 10 modules. For my purposes, we're going to go back to this module view. So like I said, again, all modules here. And in this example, like I said, I have assigned the Aorta IVC core clinical module to my second year students. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this module filter, and I'm going to deselect all and search for that module of interest. So for me, it's Aorta IVC, select it, great. Now all of the modules I don't care about are hidden, and only the Aorta IVC module is shown here. And secondly, like I said, I've only assigned this to my second year students. I have 12 students in my class, but not all of them are second years. Here I have 5 first years and 5 second years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect and select just my second years. So I got rid of the students who are not assigned this. Like I said, my first years aren't taking this, just my second years. So now only the second years are in the table. And as a side note, I will say if you have multiple types of learners within one group, we highly recommend you use the subgroups feature. You can set your subgroups at the Manage Users section of Performance Tracker. Yeah, it's super helpful to quickly narrow down just your students of interest. So going back to the report, now I have my report set up just how I like it so I can actually dig in and see where my students are at. So the class summary report has 3 different components. This first component is the course progress status component. So here I can see where my students are at with the course. I can see how many users haven't started, how many users are in progress, how many users have completed. So here I got 2 completed users, 2 in progress, and 1 hasn't started. I also have this mastery test section where I can see who's passed, who's not passed, and who hasn't attempted it yet, and the Sonos simulator section with the number of users who have saved images. So in this example, let's say I've told my students they need to complete the Aorta IVC core clinical module by tomorrow. So I've opened up this report just to see where they're at. So I see that 2 users have completed, and that's great. And I see that 2 users are in progress, and that's okay. Hopefully they'll complete it by tomorrow. But I see that 1 user hasn't started, and it's due tomorrow. So that's a little bit alarming. So that's great that I can see 1 user hasn't started, but now I want to see who that user is. So that is where the detailed status report comes into play. And how you get there, you can go back to the landing page, you can click it, or you can actually just click the module name and it'll take you straight there. So I click that Aorta IVC module, and that shows up here at the top, and all of my learners will show up here at the bottom. So we are in module view where it's one module with all your learners. Conversely, again, there's that learner view where you can pick one learner and see all of their modules, but this is more helpful for us right now in this scenario. So this is the detailed status report. Again, it is showing all 12 users in my class. So the first thing I'm going to do is filter down to just my second years, because those are the people who have been assigned this module. Great. So now I can see my class of second years, and now I can actually dig into the report and see which each individual user is at. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sort by course status, because I really want to see who that user is who hasn't started. So I'm going to sort so to put the not started folks at the top. Now I only have 5 users here as an example, so it's pretty easy to see, but if you had 100 users, I would really highly recommend using the sort feature so that all your not started users are at the top. So you can just quickly see, oh wow, these are all, maybe you have 10 users who haven't started and they're all just arranged at the top. So I can see here, Taylor hasn't started. So maybe I can contact Taylor and be like, hey Taylor, this is due tomorrow. You probably should get a move on. Going down below, I have 2 users who are in progress here. I can see exactly when they started, but that they haven't completed yet. And then I can see I have 2 users who have completed it. I can see their start date and their complete date, which is great. So this is the course progress status box. Next is the mastery test status box, very similar to the class summary report. Here I can see whether they've not attempted, not passed, or passed. Everyone has passed except for Taylor, who hasn't attempted it yet. And then I can give, it will give a little summary of all their test attempts. So this person's only taken it once and they got 100%, which is great. But this person, Peter, has taken it 3 times, and his highest score is an 80. His lowest score is a 50. That's great as a summary. If you actually want to get detailed and see all 3 of those attempts, you are able to do that via this Show All Test Attempts feature. So let's turn that on. So here I can actually see all 3 of his test attempts and the timestamp of when he took it. So hypothetically, if I said, hey, you need to be finished with this test on the 20th, I can actually see, oh, this test attempt was beyond the 20th. So I get a little bit more insight into when they took those tests, if that is relevant for your program. I'm going to turn that off right now. Yeah, so that is the mastery test attempts. One thing with the mastery test that I do want to point out, a request that we have gotten that is on our roadmap is the ability to limit the number of mastery test attempts. So for example, you only want your students taking the mastery test 2 times. You want to be able to limit that so they can't go that 3rd time. And we are working on that. But until we get that in, there is a workaround using the filters here in the detailed status report, specifically the test attempts filter. So here you can basically filter out, let's say again, like I said, they can take it a maximum of 2 times. You can use this filter and you can say, I want to see anybody who's taken it 3 times or more. So I'm going to set my minimum as 3 and I'm going to filter. And automatically it will filter out anybody who has only taken it 2 times. And we'll just show the users who have broken the rules to say. So if you verbally tell your students, hey, only take it 2 times and I will be checking, this is a way for you to quickly check that nobody is breaking that limit. Yeah, going to hit reset. So that is the mastery test status section of this report. And lastly, the Sonos simulator section. So this shows the number of saved images that each user has saved. So Chris Cato here has saved 11 images, and then Peter has saved 5 images. This other column here is required images. This is really to be used in conjunction with our SonoSim module assignments. So this is basically telling you that this module assignment, the Aorta IVC Core Clinical Module assignment, requires each user to save 11 images. So to complete that module, each user must save 11 images. And each module assignment is different. They have different numbers of images. So here we can say the required images is 11, and Chris has saved 11 images, so he's completed that assignment, whereas Peter's only saved 5. He needs 6 images to go. So if this assignment is due tomorrow, I can reach out to Peter and say, hey, you've only saved 5. You need to save 6 more. Yeah, so that is the Sonos simulator section of this detailed status report. So that's great. I can see that Chris has actually saved the required number of images. But let us say I actually want to go view those images. I can do that via the image portfolio report, and I can get there by clicking on his name. Before I do that, one last feature I don't want to forget is this export function. So this basically, this data in the table, you are able to export it as an Excel or a CSV. And this is helpful if you have an external learning management system and you want to record mastery test scores. You are able to export them and then import them to your learning management system. And one thing about the export is what you see here is what's going to export. So for example, if you want the summary information, you can export this and it will kind of give the summary. But if you want to see all 3 attempts, turn that on and then export it. And that you will export all 3 attempts with all the timestamps. So something that's important to know. Okay, going back. Chris has saved 11 images and you want to see those images. And let's do that via the image portfolio report. And how you get there, again, you can go to the landing page and click that 3rd block, or you can actually just click Chris's name. So since I clicked Chris's name, he is automatically selected as my learner. And we are on the Aorta IVC report, so that is automatically selected as my module. All of his course information shows up here at the top, just like with detailed status report. But all of his images show up here below. So you can actually see all of his images. By default, they arrange by case. So all of case 1s are together, all the case 3s are together, and by default, they arrange by newest to oldest. So here you can see this is taken at 8:48. That's newer than this one taken at 8:43, so this one shows up first. You can change that, however, from oldest to newest. And this is helpful if you have images that you want your students to save in a specific order. So for example, like maybe you've assigned them the FAST protocol and you say, hey, I want all of my RUQ images first, then all of your LOQ, then all of your subcostal, and I want them in a specific order. As the students are going through kind of like a protocol, as they're going through that protocol, you can arrange the image order to oldest to newest. You can see this is the first image they've saved, this is the second image they've saved, so on and so forth. So yeah, the last thing about the image portfolio report is these filters here at the bottom. You can filter down to case and to ultrasound window. So if you assign to only case 1, you can just filter down to case 1 and just see those case 1 images. Also, we have the ability to filter by date here. So let's say your students took a lot of images last month and then a lot of images this month. You are able to filter down and you only want to see this month's images. You can set your start date to the first day of this month and the end date to the last day of this month. And any images outside of that date range will filter out. So yeah, this date range works for the images in image portfolio report. It also works for the mastery test scores in detailed status report. So that is it for the filters. The last thing about image portfolio report that I want to mention, you can export the data in the table just like with detailed status report, but you can also export all of the images as a PDF. So again, this is helpful if you have a learning management system. You can export all the PDFs and upload them to your system. So yeah, image portfolio report, great if you need to export images, and also great if you need to quickly review, maybe you just quickly want to see what your students have saved. However, if you really want to give in-depth feedback, like maybe you actually want to grade or write text feedback to your students about these images, we have a better tool for that other than this, and that is the image feedback tool. Let me show you that right now. So going back to that performance tracker homepage, I'm going to click on this image feedback feature. So first thing I am going to do is I'm going to select Chris and that aorta IVC module. Okay, now all of Chris's aorta IVC images appear below, just like they did with image feedback. However, image portfolio report. However, with image portfolio report, it was all static. You couldn't really interact, whereas image feedback actually gives you tools to interact with the images. So those tools are, we have these quick select grading options up top and this text box for in-depth feedback on the bottom. So let me show you how this works. So the quick select options, you just quickly select. So this is the image view grade. So let's say I look at this image and I can actually click on that to expand it, make it a little bit bigger. And I go, you know what, this is a pretty good image view. The acquisition looks pretty good. I'm going to say this is acceptable. And you can see at the legend up at the top here what these symbols mean. This is acceptable. This one is suboptimal. This is unacceptable. So I say image view is pretty acceptable. Maybe I say depth is good too, and gain is good as well. And I say great job. Moving on to the next image, maybe image view is also good, but maybe I think, you know, the depth here isn't the best. I'm going to put it as suboptimal. And gain is fine. That's acceptable. So as you can see, this overall grade changed because of my subgrades. By default, it will actually be the lowest subgrade. So I have suboptimal, which is why the overall grade is suboptimal. However, if you don't like that, you are able to override it. You can click it and you can override it to acceptable. And then from there, again, you can write more in-depth feedback. So increase depth, hypothetically. So here you can say like increased depth, overgained, undergained, whatever extra additional information you need to explain these grades or anything else you want to write to the student. As you can see below, these drafts auto-saved. You don't need to save them. So hypothetically, if your computer dies and you come back, these drafts will be saved and you can come back. So when you are ready, you are able to publish these drafts by clicking this button. When you click it, you'll get this pop-up, are you sure? It will say you're about to publish feedback on 2 images. And then it will tell you the published feedback is visible to learners in the learner version of Performance Tracker. So that's where they'll be able to see it. They can log into their own Performance Tracker and see your feedback. And then it'll ask you if you want to send an email notification to that learner that feedback has been left. So they'll get an email saying, hey, your instructor has left 2 pieces of feedback or feedback on 2 images in the aorta IVC module. Do you want to go check it out? And they can click a button and it'll take them straight there. So you have the option whether or not to send that. We do recommend that you do. In this case, I'm going to cancel. I'm not going to publish these drafts, but let me show you what it looks like when you publish a draft. So this is what it looks like. It's no longer editable, or not at first. So you can basically just see the feedback you've left and you can see your text feedback. But here I see I have made a typo. So if I made a typo, I can actually hit this new edit button. And from there, I can fix my typo. I can hit republish. And again, I will be shown this pop-up. Are you sure you want to republish it? And you also have the ability to send alert notification. So for this, let's say I was like, oh, he just got a notification about this. I just want to correct this typo. I can unclick it and hit publish, and it will save and update. And then this is what the learner will see. So this is the image feedback feature. Also, one thing I want to mention about the published feedback, not only is this visible to the learners, this is also visible to you in the image portfolio report. So later on, if you're back in the image portfolio report, you can actually read the feedback that you left. So image feedback. Right now, all of these subgrades are very manual. I have to manually look at this image and grade it based on what I think these should be for these grades. However, we are working on a new feature called automated assessment. And it's scheduled to come out this summer. And with automated assessment, we have created an AI that will automatically grade students' images for you on your behalf based on these image criteria. So let me show you how that will work. So automated assessment is not released yet, so this isn't live. This isn't the final version of what it will be, but just to give you a sense of how it can work. This looks pretty much the same as image feedback. One notable exception is we've made this little feature up here called automated assessment with AI. By default, it is turned off, but when you turn it on, previously you could see that those grades were unselected, but now here they are all selected and they all have this little SonoSim symbol. Looking up at the legend, that means that this is AI graded. So here we can see The AI has taken this image and it's graded these all as acceptable. It's graded some of these as suboptimal, some as acceptable, as you can see. So it will basically automatically grade based on these criteria. However, if you disagree, you are able to override. And how you do that is you click. This grading option will pop up. Let's say you actually think this image view grade is unacceptable, so you click that, and that will update. Not only will that update the overall grade, but that will also update this symbol. And this symbol here means that this is the instructor grade. So this lets you know when you're looking back, hey, I overrode this grade. This is the SonoSim AI, but this was me. So this is automated assessment. Like I said, it's scheduled to be released this summer, and hopefully this saves you a lot of time in grading. The first version of automated assessment will be grading image view grade, and then the second iteration will include depth and gain. But yeah, that is the 3 features of Performance Tracker, or well, 2 and 1 upcoming, that will hopefully will save you a lot of time, and you can help, or you can track your learners' progress. If you have any questions about any of those features or any of the curriculum integration tools that Courtney showed, please write them in the chat now, because after this, we will have a live Q&A session where Courtney and myself will be answering all of your questions. So please write them in the chat, and thank you so much. I hope this was helpful.